For almost a decade, there was this one guy who seemed absolutely untouchable, a billionaire whose company built these incredible, gleaming towers and flashy casinos, but it was all just a cover for a massive criminal enterprise hiding in plain sight. So let's get into the story of Operation Shadowfall, the huge global mission to bring his entire empire crashing down. And that quote right there from a senior analyst, that really gets to the heart of the problem investigators were up against. See, they weren't just chasing some criminal. They were trying to unravel a financial system so huge, so complicated, that it basically became a cloak of invisibility for the man running it all, a man named Shet, the chairman of the Prince Group. So who was this Chen Gi really? Well, on the surface, he was this big Asian success story. He was the head of Prince Group, a massive conglomerate that looked like a key part of Cambodia's economic boom. But behind that respectable curtain, international agencies had a strong suspicion that the whole thing was just a very, very elaborate lie. And the difference between what the public saw and what was really going on, it's just night and day. People saw luxury hotels, big charity donations. What investigators saw was a finely tuned machine built for crime. Those casinos in Sihanoukville? Yeah, they weren't just for gambling. They were hubs for human trafficking. And the real estate deals? They were perfectly designed to launder the millions they were making from huge digital scams. And here's the crazy part. For years, he got away with all of it. Chen wasn't just rich, he was woven into the very fabric of the political power structure. His influence made him seem totally beyond the reach of any single government. The signs were there, sure, but there was no hard evidence. Until one person decided to risk it all. You know, in these huge cases, it often comes down to one single moment, a turning point. And for this one, it was a single act of incredible courage. An insider, someone deep inside the Prince Group machine, handed over the key that international agencies had been desperately looking for. They called this source the Sparrow, and it wasn't some top executive either. It was an accountant who had access to the books and saw exactly how the numbers were being cooked. They sent a simple, chilling message to a journalist. If you want to see how they control governments, follow the numbers. And what those numbers showed? Well, it was everything. The leak was nicknamed Project Atlas, and it was a complete gold mine, 2 terabytes of data. We're talking thousands of internal documents, bank transfers, private emails, basically a complete roadmap of the corruption, connecting Chen's empire to over 90 offshore accounts from the Cayman Islands all the way to Mauritius. Okay, so now they have the map from the Project Atlas files. The hunt is officially on. A joint US-UK task force gets put together with just one goal: track, expose, and completely dismantle Chen's global network. They gave it a fitting name: Operation Shadowfall. And look who they brought in. This wasn't just some local task force. We're talking about the big guns. You've got the DOJ, Homeland Security, and OFAC, the Treasury's Financial Crime Unit, from the US side. And they're working side by side with the UK's National Crime Agency and Interpol. The message couldn't be clearer. The world's most powerful law enforcement agencies were now all focused on one single target. And the deeper the analysts dug into all that data, the more they realized something really strange. This wasn't your typical criminal organization. It was a self-contained system. It had its own rules, its own secret financial pipelines, even its own way of enforcing things. It was operating less like a company and more like a rogue state, what they started calling a sovereign network of corruption. So how did they pull it off? One of their slickest tricks was something called invoice mirroring. So Prince Group's logistics companies would just create paperwork for these huge fake shipments of humanitarian aid. Then the money from their online scams would be wired over as payment for these goods that never existed. And just like that, millions in dirty money was magically transformed into clean, legitimate revenue from international trade. Brilliant, right? I mean, just look at these numbers. The sheer scale is staggering. The investigation ended up mapping over 430 shell companies. They traced almost $500 million in laundered crypto, and they linked it all to more than 1,200 separate bank accounts. Every single piece was designed to work on its own, which made the whole system incredibly resilient. You cut off one part, and another one would just pick up the slack. So after months of painstaking work mapping this entire web, it was time to act. But here's the thing. You can't just arrest a system. As one of the prosecutors said, you can only collapse it.
And that is exactly what Operation Shadowfall was designed to do, with a perfectly timed, synchronized global strike. And the way they pulled this off, it was like something out of a spy movie. It's just before 5 in the morning in Cambodia, and teams raid Prince Group's headquarters. At the exact same time, agents in London are arresting the directors of a key shell company. A couple of hours later, 73 bank accounts are frozen solid in Singapore. And by mid-morning in D.C., the U.S. government drops the hammer, announcing sanctions against Chen and 146 of his companies. The net closed everywhere, all at once.
And back at the Prince Tower, they hit the jackpot. Agents secured the digital records from a secret command center they called Unit 09. And you know what those records showed? An incredible $1.8 billion in illicit transfers. This was the financial heart of the entire empire, and it had been hiding in plain sight the whole time.
So, with all this rock-solid evidence in hand, they made it official. Interpol issued a red notice for Chen. Suddenly, his name and his face were on a global wanted list for money laundering, racketeering, and human trafficking. In the span of a few hours, Asia's most protected billionaire became the world's wealthiest fugitive. So the global strike was a huge success. The network was absolutely shattered, its money was frozen, its key players were arrested. But as the dust started to settle, one massive question was echoing through every single command center. Where was Chen?
Unbelievably, he was gone. Intelligence intercepts later showed that just 25 minutes after the raid on his tower even began, Chen's private jet was wheels up. He used a fake diplomatic flight plan to just slip out of the country, leaving the entire empire he built to burn to the ground behind him. In the months that came after, a new initiative called Task Force Phoenix started the long, slow process of recovering all the assets. The final number they reached was just immense. $1.37 billion in global assets were seized or frozen. We're talking villas, jets, penthouses, secret offshore accounts. All of it gone.
And the fallout for the Prince Group? Oh, it was swift and it was brutal. Its international banks and major cities were shut down. All these half-finished skyscrapers in Phnom Penh became these giant monuments to corruption. Even the Cambodian monarchy stripped him of his honorary title, turning the country's one-time golden son into a national embarrassment.
But the man himself? He's still a ghost. The best intelligence suggests he's moving between places like Macau, Dubai, and Vanuatu, using diplomatic channels and a private army of security to stay one step ahead. It's like he built the perfect system and then just vanished inside it. So what you're left with is this really strange situation. If you look at it from a tactical point of view, it was an incredible victory. The entire criminal structure was taken apart piece by piece. But strategically, with the guy who built it all still out there, free, the mission just doesn't feel finished. In the end, Operation Shadowfall proved that no network, no matter how big or powerful, is too big to fall. But it also left us with a pretty chilling thought. You can destroy the empire, but you can't always catch the ghost who built it. The money's gone, the towers are empty, but the shadow is still out there.